This has been a very interesting week for the world of tech. We had the mid-year refresh for the flagship smartphones. The iQOO 90 and the OnePlus 10T are here, and both of them look very interesting devices. Of course, a lot of the questions that I have for today's Q&A session are around these two smartphones. I'll talk about them in detail later in this video. But for those of you who are new to the channel, well, let me remind you that this is our weekly Q&A video where I take up all your questions and I try to answer them. So if you're new here, just go to the comment section, put in your question, use the hashtag Let's Get Techie, and your question will be addressed in next week's video. Now let's start today's video. The first question I have today is from Nayan Chaudhary, and without wasting any time, the question is iQOO 90 or OnePlus 10T according to you? Well, both of them are pretty capable devices. On paper, the iQOO 90 actually looks very strong because when you look at the camera system itself, it has a 50 megapixel main camera, 13 megapixel ultra wide, and 12 megapixel third camera. On the OnePlus 10T, on the other hand, you get a 50+8+2 combination. So the other two lenses, apart from the primary lens, look sort of weak in front of the iQOO 90. But I will still choose the OnePlus 10T over the iQOO 90 because of the practicality, the software experience, the whole in-hand feel of it. See, iQOO 90 for me, it's a heavy device, it's a big device. And I have always preferred the Oxygen OS over the FunTouch OS. So I can probably compromise a little bit on the camera side if I get a good software experience. But if for you, let's say the camera is a high priority, then of course iQOO 90 is not a bad device as well. Vishal Kriplani's question is, does the OnePlus 10T support wireless charging? Well, unfortunately not. The phone does not support wireless charging. In fact, there's no IP rating on this one as well. So there are a couple of course, obvious cut downs that OnePlus has done here to keep the price down. Now, if you want the wireless charging support, then you'll have to spend 70,000 rupees on the OnePlus 10 Pro. This one does not come with that. Tejas' question is, where should I buy the Google Pixel 6 or 6 Pro for use in India? Now, unfortunately, there is no way for you to buy the Pixel 6 or 6 Pro officially in India. We will never launch these phones here. There's no official seller. Yes, there was a time when some of these sellers were actually made this phone available on Amazon, but those are not trusted sellers, and I would not recommend you to buy the phone from there. Instead, if somebody is probably, let's say, traveling to the US, then maybe you can ask them to buy the phone for you. Otherwise, there is no official way to buy the Pixel 6 or 6 Pro here. You will have to settle for the Pixel 6a, which just recently launched. Next question is from Somdeb 1977. Can you put up a detailed review of the Nothing Phone 1 on the English channel, along with comparisons with comparable phones across various categories? Now, sir, as much as I would want to put a review on the English channel, well, I don't have the device with me anymore. What I'll do is I can probably put together my thoughts on the phone and share a video with you guys. And just to sum it up, I'll also share some quick thoughts here as well. So I kind of like the device. It's a refreshing take on smartphones, which I kind of enjoyed using the phone as well. Now the fact is that this phone, Nothing Phone 1, it's not trying to please you in every department. So for example, if somebody has to buy a phone for a multimedia experience, I would probably recommend them the Poco F4 in the same price category. In fact, Poco F4 costs less than the Nothing Phone 1. If somebody wants a really good gaming performance, then there is the iQOO Neo 6, which is a very strong phone when it comes to the performance. But Nothing has largely focused on the whole design element, which by the way, they have implemented really well across the phone. And the second thing is the clean software experience, which you don't usually get at this price. There's only the Pixel phones which give you this sort of software experience, which Nothing is bringing here. And even the camera performance isn't that bad. It's actually a pretty decent camera that you have with the Nothing Phone 1. And they, just when I was about to return the device, they pushed an OTA update as well, which brought in a lot of improvements on the phone, and the phone actually looked pretty good after that, even though I had it for a very brief period with that update. So this is what I think about the Nothing Phone 1. It's definitely an interesting option for anyone who wants to buy the phone at around rupees 30,000. Last question is from Ganesh Kamble. OnePlus Buds Pro or Oppo Enco X2 में से कौन सा अच्छा है? So I use the OnePlus Buds Pro. Abhik has reviewed the Oppo Enco X2 on our Hindi channel very recently, and one difference which we found between the two earbuds, and both of them are pretty good by the way, is that the OnePlus Buds Pro actually offer you a better bass than the Oppo Enco X2. Now Enco X2 overall, in terms of the sound profile, they have a very balanced sound profile, and they are just sound very good in your ears. But if you really like the bass or the punch, then the OnePlus Buds Pro are definitely a better option even now. So guys, these were the questions that I had for today's video. I'm really sorry that we couldn't actually do a separate video on the Nothing Phone 1 for the English channel. We had the phone for a very brief period, but Somdev, I have registered your request, and we'll see what we can do for our English viewers around the Nothing Phone 1. For everyone else, keep supporting us, keep putting in your questions, and I'll take them up in next week's video. Thank you for watching.